Well, welcome back to another episode of the Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's going on, man?
We moved.
We did.
We should inform the people of what is in the midst of happening.
Do I even know what's happening?
No. We don't have a single clue what's happening. But basically, we moved. We're literally 40 feet away from where we were before.
Correct.
We're just outside, and we renovated. We're like 85% done with the renovation of the space that is inside your garage, but not parkable. It was a half-finished room
Right.
next to your garage, within the same garage, if that makes sense. So we sealed it with rubber sealant to make sure that no enters. Painted the walls, hung some stuff, brought everything out here, and now we're outside, away from the world, where we can just leave things, and obviously under lock and key, but it's basically our studio.
Yeah.
And we don't have to pay rent.
Exactly. And this is going to be the spot for the foreseeable future until we get to the point where we can afford a studio. But right now, we're in this part of the garage that was never used before. The guy who owned it before me, he had a workbench here, so this is where he did all of his man stuff, I guess. And we moved the workbench out. We cleaned everything up. We repainted the walls. We sealed all the holes, including the one that I put in the wall from a golf ball because I had a golf simulator in here at one point and I suck at golf. So we did all that, and now we're here, and we can keep things here. The biggest thing about where we were recording before, which was my basement, is we had to keep breaking it down and putting it back up whenever we recorded because that was a functional space. That's where I would have people over to watch football games and do all that stuff. So it was at the point where we had to keep breaking it down, and we're like, we have to find another spot to record in for right now that is more of a permanent setup, because not only is it difficult to keep breaking stuff down, putting it back up, and putting it in the same exact spot as before, but now with this dedicated space, we can mark the floor of where the tripod is and where the lights are to get a more consistent recording space for us to record from here until we get a studio, because we're not making money right now. We still do all this for free. And this is something that is important for our viewers to get a consistent spot. And it's also important for you and I to feel like we belong in a space rather than just setting up in my basement. One thing we do have to do, though, is get some sort of lighting over here. That way it takes off some of the shadows that we have. Because if you look at yours, or mine too, both of ours, I got this nice little shadow right here. So it's basically like two talking heads.
It's our Peter Pan friend.
Yeah, I know. So,
which Disney lovers would enjoy the shadow.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means. So what we need to do is we can like throw one of these overhead lights.
No.
Nailed it.
No.
What do you want to do?
I have Halo recessed drop-in lights in my basement already.
Christ, where do you think we're getting the electricity from?
What do you dude, we just run power.
Okay, man stuff.
Yeah, it's easy. We'll just drop them right in.
Right up here?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
That'll work.
Then we'll just use white LED lights. You'd barely even pull amps.
Perfect.
And then they're... would eliminate the shadow. Oh, the shadow, trust me.
That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are here now. We're going to keep putting up new decorations. So right now, we obviously still have the flag. We obviously still have the poster, or the whiteboard here, chalkboard. Nailed it. We still need some sort of things going on over here, and we have some ideas in the works for what we're going to put there, which include finally doing something with the finished bottles. But yeah, so I hope everybody enjoys kind of what we have going on here. It's different than before, but different doesn't always mean worse.
And we took a before pic so that when everything is done, I'm going to take the after pic.
Dun.
Yep. Take the after pic and then post it, and then everyone can enjoy the transformation of thy space. So,
including the transformation of you and I. Did you want more water? Because you guzzled that like a fish.
No, I'm good.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to switch to whiskey. It's that time.
Okay.
Today's been a day. So we'll touch on what we're drinking, which is Taconic Distilling's straight bourbon whiskey. And there's a lot to discuss, which I'm super stoked about. So Taconic Distillery was a distillery that I found through another podcast, which we've discussed before in older episodes. There's a guy named Pat McNamara who's 22 years, if not more, of special operations experience in the Army, currently retired. He was a sergeant major when he got out, E9. Highest enlisting rank that you can receive in the Army.
Wow.
And he's the poster child of an alpha. And he is the standard when it comes to what it means to be a sentinel. So the guy is everything you would want to be as a man, plus 40. So he's awesome. And Taconic sponsors his podcast. So the bottle that we have that was provided by Taconic, which thank God, thank you so much. It's amazing.
Is it even available around here at all?
I believe it is, because they're also in the Hudson Valley.
Oh, okay.
So I believe it is. I haven't looked for it, but I also haven't had 4 seconds to breathe. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
So how did you find out about Pat?
So Pat McNamara is kind of one of the guys that everyone in the infantry knows because he's the standard.
Gotcha.
So heard about him when I was in, started listening to a lot of his videos because once he got out of the Army, he basically started his own company. And then in that, he would do range days around the U.S. teaching people what he knows because he's I'm trained to a point where no one's going to get this kind of training because A, I've been in for so long, B, the type of missions that I did for the amount of time that I did them, nobody else is really going to come close. And it's not I'm cocky about it. It's just, it's fact. There's no way to get around it. What he does is just ridiculous. So he started doing different instructions on different ranges all over the country. And then the Army brings him back sometimes to do training as a contractor per se, right? Where they're hey, can you just come back and train some of the guys, train the troops, help them out? So I started to really dive into his work my last 3 years of my Army career just because a lot of what he was saying made sense at the leadership level that I was at. And I was able to implement what he was doing with my guys as well to help better train them. So he's actually featured on the back of that bottle, on the back of the label. You can see him. But the dude is just an absolute unit. So give him praise. He's also a fellow metalhead, and his motto is great. He treats every Monday he treats every morning like Monday morning, and he treats every night like Saturday night. So him and his wife Rebecca go out. He drinks bourbon or beer, hangs out, has some good food, and then goes back to his property in North Carolina. And then, like I discussed, he has a full compound. He has gardens of herbs, fruits, veggies, all that stuff. He works out in his driveway. He has all of his own equipment, doing functional strength training and things like that. So with that, I reached out to Taconic because Pat mentioned them on his podcast, the University of Badassery, if anybody's interested. And hashtag not a sponsor to any of this. And when I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I'm running a whiskey podcast in Buffalo with my buddy. Huge fan of your guys' work, and then love the fact that you guys sponsored Pat Mac. So then he went back and said, I'm actually friends with him. I was like, well, I'm sorry, what? And that's basically I don't know, someone is friends with the Kardashians or just something crazy.
Right.
For me, it's that's the pinnacle. So we started, conversing back and forth. He sent him pics of different range days that they had together. I was like, wow, that's sick. So I did some research on them for this episode, which I'll touch on in a minute. But then they ended up sending us a lot of different stuff, which is great. So they sent us this bottle. They sent us the maple syrup as well. Also this hat. Mm-hmm. So thank you again for everything. Greatly appreciated. Super stoked to try this bourbon. Yeah. Haven't had it yet. And they win sipping awards at different competitions, which I found very interesting. So it is 90 proof. They won Best Bourbon by Maxim Magazine, which is kick-ass. They also won Best Bourbon by Hudson Valley Magazine, the official bourbon of the Culinary Institute of America Beefsteak. And then in 2019, they won the SIP Award. They won gold. They also won silver in the same year. And then at the San Fran World Spirit Competition, they won gold and silver. So, I mean, they've been around, and they basically went right to the top out of the Hudson Valley, and then everyone was put on notice again for the Valley, and that's what it's coined as, the Valley, because the Valley's known for having good bourbon. And then when Taconic came out, they're like, okay, what do you know? The Valley has another good bourbon. Mm-hmm. So with these guys, they were established in 2013. They're a purveyor of fine craft spirits located in the Hudson Valley of New York. They handcraft their award-winning bourbon and rye whiskeys in small batches using the finest ingredients that include state-grown grains and natural spring water from their farm. Inspired by hunting and fishing, Taconic embraces that passion for the outdoors and imprints it on all their labels, which I found pretty interesting, which makes sense with the hunting dog.
Right.
The spirits are made to sip, surrounded by good company. Taconic is also proud members of the American Distilling Institute, the American Craft Spirits Association, and the New York Distillers Guild. Interesting facts here, they do not chill filter to preserve flavor.
Ooh.
So their whiskey's distilled below 160 proof to retain the flavor from the grains because they don't chill filter. In that, those flavors are transferred through the distilling process as fatty molecules or fatty oils. I'm sorry, flavor... no, I was right. Okay, so fatty molecules or fatty oils. So other distilleries will chill filter at that point for clarity, which removes some of the fatty oils. So because they don't chill filter to get rid of the clarity, you'll have a smokiness to some of their bottles.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't mean that it's disdained or ruined. It just means that that's because of their process, and it's still going to taste good. So... so like I said, it doesn't mean it's flawed. It just proves that they keep as much flavor as possible inside each bottle. We're super excited to try this. Like I said, they make good products for the Valley, and we're excited to bring this to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So we'll wait for the first beep, which, what do you know? I forgot.
Perfect.
Because here's what happened. We are in a different space, and the Wi-Fi's not out here, so we don't have a beep anymore. So now,
which is very depressing.
Extremely. So now in 14 minutes and 56 seconds exactly, we're going to get our first beep.
In 14 minutes?
Well, yeah, that's when I started the timer.
We're already 15 minutes in, man.
Well,
I think this calls for maybe 10 minutes in. Man. But yeah, so that's sweet. But kind of going just back to that, I mean, with us moving, we don't have the Wi-Fi beep, and we don't have Clio barking. So...
times are changing.
And what else do we have?
New chairs.
New chairs. So no more squeaky squeaks.
Yeah, no more squeaky chairs, boys.
Yeah.
And gals. But we're excited. These have lumbar support.
Dude, these are comfortable. So,
yeah.
Do you want to just take a first sip of this now? Because I don't want to wait another 15 minutes.
Fine.
Let's take a first sip now.
Cheers, man.
Cheers, dude. To growing.
Cheers to growth.
Growth. I think New York bourbon is very different than Kentucky bourbon. And that's probably it's distilled hundreds of miles away. But New York bourbon has such a light yet prominent flavor to it, whereas Kentucky bourbon, I feel, just sits. This is so smooth.
Yeah.
And it's
New York is more oily.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like it's a little more oily. However, the burn on this is so mild,
mm-hmm.
and it's 90 proof. It's such a mild burn for 90 proof. Everything sits up top. It makes you salivate. It makes you want more. Goes down smooth going down, and if you haven't ate anything in a while, and then you sip this, you'll feel it in your chest,
mm-hmm.
but it's like that, it's kind of bringing you back feel, where... it's like, I need some medicine because I'm sick, and then you take Dayquil or whatever, and then you feel it slide down your gullet,
mm-hmm.
and you're starting to feel a little bit more rejuvenated, wow, I just took something that should help. This is my day sucks, I want to sip this, and you feel it slide down your gullet, and you're like, wow, this is actually helping.
Yeah.
This is kick-ass bourbon.
Yeah, it's very good, and it goes back to it just being part of this New York style of bourbon where it touches your tongue and just dissipates, but the oil stays.
Yes.
It's a very weird flavor that you get from New York bourbons where they just hit and then go away, but the oil stays.
And it's got the...
Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I not making sense?
No,
okay.
You are. And it's got the typical color tone to it where it's a lighter copper, mm-hmm. where it's not really super dark.
This is fantastic.
It is. It's really good.
This tastes like a small local whiskey,
Well,
which is what I like about it.
Yes, they only make small batches at a time.
Which, yeah, I mean, this says single barrel on it. Are they only single barrel?
I don't know if they're only single barrel, but they make small batches at a time.
Maybe this Pat Mac edition.
This is like a
special release.
Yeah, it's a single barrel one-off, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I wonder how this compares to their other products.
Actually, I should have that.
Because if this is a single barrel, this is going to obviously be different than their full-on releases.
Yes.
But this is very. You can tell that this is not mixed or blended. It's just got that raw, straight from the barrel feel to it.
Yeah, and it's diluted because obviously it's not 160 proof, but it's not diluted to the point where you're losing aspects that you want to keep. This is very unique.
This is delicious. Do you have the mash bill on this?
New York. I don't.
I'm going to try to look up the mash bill, see if I can find some information on it.
We talked to so many people on our Instagram that it's like impossible to find.
Right. Yeah. I would probably guess that this is a very higher rye mash bill. It's just got that like rye taste to it. Peppery. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So for our listeners, they are a New York distributor, and then they're the number one New York State bourbon and rye.
Okay.
And also, yes, this was a... Let's see. Yeah, it's a Pat Mac bottle. So I believe it is.
I just want to try to find the
mash bill?
the mash bill on it. But I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
I don't believe so.
Well,
I don't feel like it's a high corn.
No. I mean, it's a bourbon, so it has to be at least 51% corn.
Yeah, but I don't feel like it's really much. I wouldn't go like
No, it's
70s.
probably 60, yeah.
Yeah.
60% corn, and then probably like, I feel like it's 25 or 30% rye.
And I wonder what their char is.
No idea. Yeah, this is interesting. Maybe he can provide some input on it when we release it, because I'd be very, very interested to see what the mash bill is on this. This tastes like a rye. This goes down like a rye.
Which you love ryes.
I love ryes. That's why I like this. But yeah, so this is really sweet. I'm very happy that we got this. Thank you again, Taconic. This is delicious, and I want more.
We got to find it.
Yeah. So what else, Mike? What else is going on with you? How's everything else going?
Swell.
I feel like I can just relax in these chairs.
I know, dude. There's so much lumbar
We
support.
gotta get those arms back, I think, or buy new arms for us to just like come back and then just like relax.
Well, if there's got to be a way to hang it into the wall, mount the arm into the wall, and then still have wall decor.
We can look into that. I know that like for those Shure SM7B microphones that you want to get eventually, a lot of like Rogan has them where they attach to the table, and Nate Bargatze has it for his podcast. They attach to the table, and they're very like, they're solid plastic, but they're like, they won't move. They're very high quality boom arms, and I think that we should get them for this setup because, I mean, one, the chairs are pretty high because of our table being high, because of it being on barrels. So having it this low is kind of difficult because we have to like look down to talk to it. Whereas if we have like an arm, we can pull it out to here and just talk to each other like this, you know?
Yeah.
Or even like this.
Rotate it 90.
Yeah, I watched a video that said for these specific microphones, there's no real like difference if you point it like this way, point it sideways, point it upside down. There's no difference in the sound quality. It's all myths. You just can't talk like over here because then you can't hear it. But as long as you're talking into the front of it, it doesn't matter what direction it's being pointed at. Because I've seen people like hang it from the ceiling and saying like, oh yeah, if it's pointed down, it's better. It's like, no, it's not true. I verified it with my Google research.
Look at that.
Wikipedia.
All the research.
Nailed it.
That's exciting.
So what else did you do this week? We kind of started talking about that, but then we got carried away.
No, you're fine. What did I do this week other than catch up is get buried at work. So fun. But yeah, so the state's moving into inspection time. So they're going around verifying that everybody met the state guidelines. And because we work with everybody so closely that we work with, then they want us to be on site to make sure that if there's any technical questions that are raised, they have the answer immediately while the person's there, because they don't want to reschedule like a second visit. So they just want to get certified to be open or whatever and then move on. So a lot of stuff is being discussed with this, the county and then our customers, because everybody's trying to be on the uppity up. Excuse me. But it's exhausting from our standpoint because we have to memorize and just know verbatim off the top of our head each individual aspect that either could come up, does come up, and then each county is different, so it's just a whirlwind. And then naturally I'm the only one for Erie County, so I have to know what's going on.
Yeah,
I have to have all the info. So, and it's got to be like that. So I basically just have to memorize it, which is what it is. You just got to know it. So luckily the questions that they ask are easy for me, but it hasn't really gotten too technical or too into the weeds. It's just very face value pieces of data. Mm-hmm. And then once we have that, then we're good to go. So yeah, the workload is still high.
So have you been drinking a lot of bourbon lately?
I'm starting to switch to wine because we have to drink some of that.
Interesting.
And I'm kind of out of bourbon because you don't drink it. So
this one's coming back home with you.
Oh man.
And plus I have that wine still from last week. That's yours. So I got to give it to you before you leave.
No problem. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And we also have to give you some shirts because you sold some sweatshirts since the last time you were here.
True.
So if anybody wants sweatshirts, let us know.
Speaking of which, we have our interview this Thursday.
We sure do. Tell them about it.
So we're going to sit down with Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers to discuss all things water, federally and locally. So they focus primarily on the water cleaning of Western New York. And I devised about 5 questions, so I'm very excited for that. I actually have to respond to their email, which I will after this. So just a lot of good content that's going to come out of that. I'm very excited just because the state's got their shapes based off of water, which I think is a really cool fact. So I kind of wanted to discuss that, and then also discuss the magnitude of water that is cleaned daily that people don't realize. So the Water Authority, there's multiple locations for all different areas, but having the Water Authority work tirelessly the way they do is, I think, a very thankless job. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to speak on that as well. So I'm pumped to have that interview release because there's going to be a lot of fun facts that most people never even thought to think about.
Yeah, because it's not something that you research.
Correct.
Being like a inquisitive person, it's not like you're going out and researching. You know what I really want to learn today is how we clean water. Unless you've watched tirelessly like you and I did that Zac Efron show, I wouldn't have thought to research water.
No, not at all.
Or become a water sommelier.
Yeah, a sommelier of water.
That's dope. I wish I could.
That's a great. I mean, you can do anything you want, Derek.
True.
Don't let anyone stop you.
But like how it's so weird. And so I'm doing some editing right now for an extracurricular project, if you will. And one of the episodes that we're editing, I specifically stated in one of the whiskey reviews that you can taste the cleanness of this water and the pure, like how pure this water is, which it's so interesting when we go to talk to these people about the Erie County water and the Buffalo water. What does Buffalo water have in it that makes it taste a certain way? Because we have a vastly different tasting water than a majority of the rest of the states. So like, what is it?
Right. Yeah, why is water soft in Florida? Why is it soft in the Carolinas or when you go to a hotel? Like, it's just raw here.
Yeah.
And it's no doubt the minerals, but like what?
Yeah.
So I want to get deep into the weeds on what actually makes this place tick. So There's a lot of history behind it. It goes all the way back into the 70s with the Safe Water Clean Act. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. So if you guys do want to, tune into that because that's going to be an interesting interview, but also purchase a sweatshirt from us. A portion of those proceeds are going directly to this organization because that's something that we believe in. So if you do want to purchase a sweatshirt, just know it's going right to this organization. So when I was getting ready to move everything out here, I did cleaning of my basement, and I found a rubber band on the floor, and I don't know why this came up, but I put it on my wrist because where else are you going to put a rubber band that you find? And it was on there for 3 days, and I completely forgot about it. I showered with it. I don't know why. Do you remember, were you ever that kid in high school or middle school where you put stuff around your, rubber bands around your wrist? I feel like that was such a pivotal part of my schooling career.
Nope. Couldn't tell you I did that.
No?
No.
Dude, I always put rubber bands around my wrist.
Why?
I don't know. But I felt like that was something that you had to do in my school.
To do what? Tie corn together?
Probably. Taking tractors to school. No, I legitimately think that we had to do it. It was an unwritten rule that you had to put a rubber band around your wrist. When you were younger, in middle school, did you ever, if you were seeing a girl, really cute, oh my God, I'm seeing her, I'm in 5th grade, did you put her hair scrunchie around your wrist?
No.
No?
What? Where did you, what is this?
You didn't do that?
No. You held hands like a normal couple.
I feel like.
Where you claimed each other. You don't wear scrunchies. That's.
No, dude, that was a status symbol.
I don't even do that with my wife.
Well, obviously, we're mature now, but back in the day, that was something that you did.
Our beep went off.
It didn't go off.
That's what it just said.
Well, it's not beeping. People don't know. The listeners don't know. Beep. There we go. Okay,
I know,
cool.
seriously.
Nailed it.
Also,
we need to get a kitchen timer. If anybody can link it below at Amazon, find something on Amazon that they either have or know somebody that has it.
Hold on,
some sort of kitchen timer. I want audience interaction.
Our mega fan sent us a ringtone that he made.
He made?
There's the beep.
Did he make it from the
Wi-Fi
video?
For the reference, he used the first beep from episode 44 at 0.34 seconds in.
I can't stand him.
There's our beep.
Yeah, perfect. All right.
Also, we have breaking news. As of 9 minutes ago, at the age of 65, Eddie Van Halen died.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, so we should probably discuss that.
Wow. It's 65.
That sucks, dude.
From what? Do you know?
Let's see. Cancer.
Damn.
His son Wolfgang shared the news on Twitter.
That's depressing, dude. I found...
That's a kick-ass name for your son.
Wolfgang?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you... are you abbreviated Wolf or are you abbreviated Gang?
It's got to go Wolf. You got to abbreviate your name as Wolf.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, gang. Hashtag
gang.
no free shout-outs, Theo Von. Hashtag not a sponsor.
But yeah, so if you're called Wolf, that's kind of badass. But would you really want to be called Wolf?
Yes. Are you kidding?
What? Okay, but as a nickname, but as your real name?
Dude, imagine walking up to your girlfriend's house and you meet her father for the first time and he's like, hello, what's your name? And you're like, how you doing, sir? Nice to meet you. My name's Wolf. And then you squeeze his hand like the mini alpha you are.
Sure.
And then he just stares at you and he goes, have her home by midnight. What else do you say to that?
Right, but if your name's Wolf, you're required to be an alpha. And what if he's not an alpha? What if he's a beta? I don't know this guy.
His father's
personally.
Eddie Van Halen.
That doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Okay, but if you're going to be a man, you can't be a beta and have your name be Wolf.
Here's the thing.
We shouldn't be talking about this because he just passed away, and I feel like I'm ripping on the kid.
No. Wolfgang did not pass away. Eddie Van Halen
I know
passed
that,
away.
but that was his dad.
Well, yes. However, here's the thing. Eddie Van Halen named his kid Wolfgang. That's an alpha move by default. He knew that it's an implied task to raise your son to be an absolute alpha by the time he arrives into this world. You can't look at the doctor or nurse or midwife or whoever delivered your child. And when they said, what is the child's name? You look at them square in the soul and say Wolfgang and keep a straight face. And then that person has to write down Wolfgang on the birth certificate. That sets a precedence that your kid will be an alpha.
But what if he's not? That's what I'm saying. That's depressing.
It just happens.
You can't have a 4'4" scrawny kid walking around called Wolfgang.
Yeah, but Eddie Van Halen is not, first of all, not going to produce weakness, and then second,
That's true.
His kid's not going to be 4'4". Eddie Van Halen's a monster.
Yeah.
And then, come on, dude. The kid's probably chopping wood and just ripping riffs all day.
Yeah, I know. Do you think is he musically talented, his son? I honestly don't follow him.
He probably
at all.
came out like whistling. Probably just waltzed right in,
Yeah. That's sad though. 65.
It's way too young.
If you had to put, this is going to turn really depressing really quick, but if you had to put an age on your ideal lifespan, what age would you?
85.
85? So anytime before then you would think that too young. Not necessarily just for you, because that's a depressing conversation, but just in general, like how Americans live now. What is too young?
I would say if you reached 70 years old, then anything after that, it's deemed a good life. And then anything before 70, it's like,
Damn.
That sucks. That's too young. You had at least, 10 good side 20 years left of quality life that you could have crushed it with whatever you wanted to do, and then it got taken away from you too short. Like when I hear stories of people that passed at like in their 50s from a heart attack or cancer or something that's totally out of their control, like a brain aneurysm, something like that, and they're 50, 52.
You just nailed down like my 3 biggest fears.
Yeah, like you just
heart
that
attack,
sucks.
cancer, and brain aneurysm.
Yeah, that
I know my
sucks.
sister's freaking out right now.
Autumn leaf, listen. It's your time. Honestly, right now, it's your time to shine. It's the best season of the year. So, listen. Just blossom.
We're talking about that. Like, we're a very hypochondriacs. Yeah. We're like very like that type of family. We worry a lot. I'm 90% sure it's from my mother. But in the past year, I've diagnosed myself with every single disease under the sun.
Why?
Going from... I don't know.
Why don't you just fix your sump pump and then worry about everything else,
Dude, the last storm that we had, it didn't flood my basement. But every single thing, like, so I don't know if everybody knows, but back in January, I diagnosed myself with a mini heart attack, which is what spiraled this whole weight loss journey that I've been on, where I've lost 45 pounds.
And I gained them all? Sweet.
But, like, I quasi-diagnosed myself with this. And since then, I've had... literally every single thing under the sun that I gave myself, because I just think of the worst. Like, I'm suffering from a mild panic attack for the past 6 months. It's crazy.
Is that why you're turning gray?
I guess so. No, like, that's a whole nother story, which I diagnosed myself with a life-ending injury. But, yeah, so, like, we're at this point where we just feel like every single thing is applied to us, which is so strange. Like, I don't know where that thought process came from. Have you ever had that type of thought process before? Like, something detrimental is happening to me, let me figure it out?
No.
Jesus. You've lived such a good life.
Oh, is that what it is? I think it's because my brother always told me the pain you're experiencing will always go away eventually.
Yeah, well, you had a good brother. My sister told me, I think I'm having a brain aneurysm, and now I'm like, I think I'm having a brain aneurysm. She literally told me that, and I'm like, I don't even want to look up the symptoms of having a brain aneurysm. She's like, it's headaches. I'm like, God damn it. Now I had like 4 in the past week.
Yeah.
So at least your brother gave you confidence.
Yeah. So
My
all
sister
pain
gave
goes
me
away.
more
Just
panic.
relax and, live your life meal to meal.
Yeah. What's funny about that? So when you start thinking of something, you start seeing it or experiencing it more because now you're aware of the situation.
Correct.
Similar to like if you're going to go buy a new car and you want a Chevy Cruze. That's probably not the best example because there's 4 trillion of them out in West Seneca. But if you're thinking of buying like a Lamborghini, you're going to start seeing them all over the place. You're going to be like, I didn't know that there was 4 Lamborghinis in the area, just like that. So back when I bursted my throat, as everybody knows, I also gave myself throat cancer during that time as well. Back when I bursted my throat for holding in a sneeze because of COVID, I also started like I was listening to podcasts, and one of the podcasts that I listened to was talking about how he ruptured somebody's throat and then calcium built up and then he couldn't breathe. I'm like, I have that 100%. But yeah, it's crazy. So through this whole journey, I finally came to the conclusion that, you know what, Derek, maybe it was just a mild panic attack. Like, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. And then we started watching Schitt's Creek. Have you watched that?
No, my sister's obsessed with that show. And
It is.
Just, you know what?
It's hilarious. I was like not going to watch it because I don't like watching shows that, it just won in the world or whatever the hell they call them anymore. I don't like watching those type of shows, but we started watching it and it's hilarious. But the 6th episode in, the guy literally said, I think I'm having a heart attack. You need to take me to the hospital. And like diagnosed himself with everything. And then at the end, the doctor was like, it's a panic attack. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Because now I'm seeing this, and he literally had every single thing that I was scared of, but the doctor said it's a panic attack.
Have you ever had a anxiety attack?
I don't know what those are. So probably.
I'm not even going to get into it because now all of a sudden you're going to start flipping out. And then Autumn's going to text you and be like, why did Mike even go down that? Because listen, that's how I felt literally like 25 minutes before you guys started recording.
She literally just texted me. But so, I mean, what the thing that I've understood with researching every single thing under the sun is that it varies vastly different from person to person. So from your standpoint, what do you feel, if you've even had one, an anxiety attack feels like?
You're so into this right now.
I know I am. Because, I mean, it's a real conversation. There's a lot of people out there that suffer from this, especially during this time. I mean, this has been a very stressful
great. Now you
year.
want me to be serious, and I'm
Yeah,
a terrible
I want
joke.
you to
Damn it.
Jesus Christ. All right, Mike, what's your joke?
No, I don't. It's fine. The last time I had an anxiety attack, I led to therapy, but we won't go there. No, we're having a good time. I don't even know. I don't know if I've ever had a official anxiety attack. I honestly think that it's probably a combination of not being able to control your thoughts, not being able to settle down, your heart races, but your mind is working at such a rate that you start to feel so overwhelmed that the only thing that'll actually make you feel somewhat better is like a weighted blanket.
I've not been diagnosed with anxiety. I've diagnosed myself with anxiety. So let me just put that out there. But going back to what I've been feeling this entire year is, you know my story. I love pizza. So I thought when I was having this pizza from a local pizza place that I was having a mild heart attack, which then that spiraled me into thinking that every single unhealthy food that I have from here on out is going to cause me to have this heart attack where I die. That's where this conversation went to in my brain. I think that that's probably anxiety. But after that, every single thing that I had that was new, I started having this type of mental like anxiety attack where I thought that it was going to happen again. I know you're smiling, man, but it's 100% true in what has happened to me for the past like 9 months. It's crazy.
I wish I was a fly on the wall where I listened to the first conversation when you were like 6 with your family, and then this caused you to like go down this rabbit hole the rest of your life.
You know what caused this,
And
Mike?
then
I'll tell you exactly what caused
Here
this.
it is.
Every single time a siren went off, I don't care where I could be in my room at my house growing up. My mom would call me saying, "Where are you? Are you okay?" That's where it all started. It was from her thinking that I was dead every single time the fire went off, like the fire siren went off by my house. That's probably where it all came from. But I didn't start feeling this, honestly, until this year. Like, this year has been this is what started this. And I don't even know what started it. I told Gina the other day, I think that I have carbon dioxide poisoning. Because I read on the internet that carbon monoxide, or whatever it is, causes panic attacks and heart rate increases and all that stuff. So I diagnosed myself with that, too. I probably have rickets, too.
In the year 2020,
Micro Bigley fans would like that.
your life has received some additional stress. However, it has also gotten extremely nice.
Absolutely.
In aspects.
Absolutely.
Where now you have way too much time off. You have still golfed when able.
Mm-hmm.
The pod has grown, and we've conducted more interviews than ever before. And we moved out of your basement into a totally different space. You're still with Journey. Cleo's fine after her scares.
Is this coming into a therapy session?
And you work from home so you don't have to deal with traffic anymore.
But you know what I have
On
to
a
deal with?
day-to-day
Carbon
basis.
monoxide leaking from my furnace.
Oh, my God.
No, in all joking aside, I have no idea what was going on these past 6 months, but, like, I'm fine. Like, this isn't a cry for help. This isn't me saying I'm dying right now.
Yeah, everyone's going to be like, Mike, off camera, can you please talk to him?
Yeah, I know, really. I finally went to the doctor for the first time in 15 years, which probably was also contributing to my mental health abomination around a heart attack. But I came back like Chris Traeger. He's like, you can be the first person to live to 150 years old. And I'm like, thanks, Doc. Where's the pizza? So, like, I'm fine. I completely get that. But it was just weird. And that kind of goes back to what you're saying about you. Sometimes you just can't control where your thoughts go.
I'm going to run to the moon and back.
I'm a third of the way to the moon. All right. Anyway, back to a less serious subject. Christ, what took us down that road?
Eddie Van Halen died.
Oh, Jesus. Goddamn. All right. R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And I'm sorry, Wolfgang.
I want to meet Wolfgang now. Kid's probably a savage.
Let's focus on meeting Pat McNamara first.
Yeah, those are goals.
And it's doable. Let's go out to Taconic, and Pat can go out to Taconic because they're friends. We can interview both of them at the same time. Taconic, let us know if you're in for that.
That wouldn't be an interview. That would just be me sitting next to him like this.
Yeah, and I'll do the talking, but that's fine. Taconic, honestly, let us know if you'd be down for that because we 1,000% will come.
Yeah, that's not even a question. That is the easiest 6-hour drive ever.
Yeah. You want to get into cocktails?
Drop the beat for the cocktail section.
Cocktails. The first one in the new space, man. We had to make it count.
Okay.
That's going to be somebody's ringtone. I can guarantee it. Wait until we're famous. AKA tomorrow.
So my cocktail is called the Nor'eastern. It's 4 ounces of Taconic bourbon, 1 ounce Taconic maple syrup, 1.5 ounces of fresh lime juice. I'm sorry, 1.2 ounces of fresh lime juice, 2 ounces of Jamaican ginger beer. You combine the first 3 ingredients and chill in the fridge. You then pour over ice and top it with ginger beer. You garnish with a lime wedge. That's it. Then you enjoy. So the picture for this is going to be pretty sweet. I'm excited for that. So be on the lookout for Cocktail Tuesday and Thursday posts to get the images for these.
Love it. All right, mine is Autumn in New York. Autumn in New York for you guys outside of New York. 3 ounces of Taconic bourbon, 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of Taconic maple syrup, a half cup of apple cider, and cayenne pepper. I love that. Fill 2 glasses and a cocktail shaker with ice. To shaker, add bourbon, lemon juice, maple syrup, and apple cider. Shake vigorously. Strain into glasses and top each with a pinch of cayenne pepper, if desired. Optional rim glass with maple syrup and dip in crushed cider donut bits. What?
That was a beep for anybody curious.
Love it. Rim glass with maple syrup and dip in crushed cider donut bits. What does that mean? That sounds delicious. We went to the cider mill yesterday, or this week for the first time this season. I forgot how good their donuts were. And then I had one and I thought I was having a heart attack. I'm just kidding.
Here we go. Can I pass out?
Yeah. What? Oh, we didn't bring the Dapper Dew out.
No.
Don't act like it's not a pivotal part of this show. It was our first moment where I was literally crying on camera because of the way that you described it. Yeeks, dude. Are you going to be able to drive after this?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
But yeah, so have you gone to the cider mill yet?
No.
Everybody knows that fall's my favorite season.
It's mine too, but again, I haven't had a minute to breathe.
Do you like to do basic fall things? Like, are you going to go through a corn maze?
No, they're like banned with COVID.
Oh, brother.
Yeah.
Can you transmit through kernels? Is that something?
No, you can't maintain 6 feet.
I can barely get out of the maze. Obviously, I'm going to maintain 6 feet.
Not only that, but you can't maintain 6 feet at Wegmans. So whatever.
But there's air filtration
listen,
in Wegmans.
Listen, don't light the fire, because then I'm just going to go off on a rant, and then it's going to be a Pet Peeves episode 3 with the BHH, and I'm just going to go into orbit, and
We need another one of those. Are you going to watch the vice presidential debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris?
I will watch the current vice president debate the potential incoming future vice president if the people and the Electoral College choose them to be elected. Then yes, I'm going to watch that.
So you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
So
Probably.
kind of sticking with the morbid theme this episode. And it's not morbid, but Trump has COVID. That was the biggest news cycle in the past week.
Does he still have it though? I couldn't tell after his double finger thumb salute outside the White House at exactly 7 p.m. before Monday Night Football started.
Yes, because it stays in your system for 2 weeks. Don't you know this? Have you been following Governor Cuomo's press briefings?
No. The last time I did, my world went into a tizzy because of work.
Yeah.
So I stopped watching him talk on my lunch break, and then I haven't had a lunch break since he started talking about HVAC. So I just worked through my lunch.
I've had like about 7 days off since that time. Just wanted to let you know.
Are you off for Columbus Day?
Absolutely. It's a bank holiday.
Absolutely.
I think I'm off the Tuesday after, too. Because
You probably only have a half day the Friday before, too, because I think it falls on a Monday.
yeah. All Fridays before holidays, I get off 2 hours early. So, do you want a bank job?
No. I do not belong in corporate America.
It's true.
I do not belong in corporate. I tried it, and then it was just nothing but Thad, Brad, and Chad, who was about to get divorced. They went home, bitched about work, kicked their dog, fought with their wife. It's not who I am. They would like dress up to it. Like, dude, you work in a cubicle surrounded by 150 people.
There's a lot of Andy Bernards in corporate America
I hate it.
that wear Ralph Polo, mismatched tie and shirt. I don't know when that became a fad, or like the dress pants that go up to the middle of your shin. I don't get that. I don't get men's
the
fashion.
no-break dress
Dude,
pants?
what's going on? Like, is there a flood? I know my basement floods every third Tuesday, but I don't even wear those pants.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. They want the no break, but you don't hem it that high. It's obnoxious.
I just don't. And then no socks with their dress shoes. People are just weird. Can we just go back to the 1950s and the 1940s when things were just amazing after the Great Depression? Can we just do that?
Oh, yeah. World War II never happened.
It didn't. That was the
Perfect.
time.
Oh,
that was the
Jesus.
time to be alive.
Are you insane?
R.I.P. Van Halen.
You can't just skip the World War II and the Cold War, which shout out to Pat Mack because he was pivotal in the Cold War with like spy operations.
Black Ops Cold War?
But anyways,
Or Modern Warfare or Call of Duty Cold War.
what are you even saying right now?
You're talking about Cold War, man. The new video game comes out soon.
Oh, I don't have time for that. I have to paint this floor, and then I have to finish my own basement.
Yeah.
It's fine. We have to edit like 17 minutes out of this episode because of just the catastrophe that we said. We'll just record now.
We don't edit anything.
We need to edit.
The thing is, and what people need to understand, all right, I'm going to be real with you guys right now. 90% of our episodes and 90% of the content within our episodes are extremely unscripted. We do a little bit to provide our listeners with some topics to take home with them about the distilleries that we have on the show. Exactly. So Mike does a ton of research for all of the distilleries that we have on the show, so we can tell the story that sometimes we might not be able to go to tell or to have them tell us. We've been doing a lot with interviews where they can tell their own story, but for Taconic and like Devil's River and the major players in the whiskey, the international, like the U.S. bourbon industry, we're not going to be able to go and interview all of them. So we want to tell a story. That is our only scripted segment in all of this. Outside of that, we just run with it. So we don't edit anything. We try not to edit as much as possible because we want it to be authentic. And we do a good job with that. Because it's completely authentic. We didn't know what we were talking about, and we ended up talking about Eddie Van Halen and my mental issues. So I think that's thumbs up. Thumbs up.
And the Bills are 4-0.
And the Bills are 4-0. Correct.
Which we'll see what happens with the coming weeks. We're playing the Titans next.
Yep. And right now it looks like the game's on because they've had 2 days without any positive cases. And Tennessee Titans are able to go into the facility tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So as of right now, we're scheduled to play the Tennessee Titans at a regular scheduled time at 1 p.m. on Sunday. That being said, we're having people over. So if you want to come, you and Colleen are more than welcome.
But no one else listening can come.
This is going to come after anyway.
This is going to release afterwards, so sorry you missed the invite. But if somebody else wants to drive, because I know one super fan probably would, if somebody wants to drive 7.5 hours to hang out with us for a Bills game,
I mean,
it wouldn't be the first time.
I would accept them with open arms.
He has literally done that for when we played the Houston Texans.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we're at 55 minutes, and we didn't do this whiskey rating yet. So let's do that and wrap this episode up.
Telling you.
We're not editing any of this out.
We're cutting 17 minutes out.
I control the edits. We're not taking anything out. So let's do the whiskey review. Taconic straight bourbon whiskey.
Branding. Here's the thing.
I'll let you take the lead.
Pat Max on the back of the bottle.
Absolutely.
This by far. Oh yeah, let's just make all the noise on the slate black coasters that we have.
From Queen City Creative Works. Hashtag
not a sponsor. Hashtag Woodstock Queen City. Shout out. So this is a one-off bottle with Pat Mac. So I personally am biased when it comes to this rating, but I feel that their label outside of who's on the back, because it changes, is sweet. So they do a lot with their labels. They put a lot of thought behind the back of the label, not the front of the label, in regards to like who they feature and like the story behind it and everything else.
Right.
The front of the label gives you the product it is, the color's consistent across the board, and then I love the dog because I'm a dog fan.
Love dogs.
But the back of the back label is what really drives this product home. So I'm going to give this a plus check mark plus check mark.
I agree.
Let me write this down because we don't have a pen in the new space.
Nose.
Hold on, I gotta write all this down, my dude. Okay, so A plus. What are you picking up so far?
Nose, right off the bat, you can pick up that it is like about greater than a 90 proof whiskey. You can get that alcohol content on the nose, and then from there, it's all caramel and oak for me. This is a very traditional New York State style bourbon.
I'm going A plus plus.
A plus plus. I like it. I agree.
I agree.
Initial taste. Surprisingly, and this is why I think that this is a high rye content, I'm getting a lot of pepper up front.
Yeah, there's a lot of baking spice.
A lot of pepper, a lot of baking spice, and then it kind of finishes with like a honey a little bit.
And that's what drives the oils and the salivation in your palate to where one of the only ways to cut the salivation is to continue with a little more, which is why I think this wins the sip award. It's because it drives you to want another sip just because it'll cut the extra salivation that's occurring in your mouth.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to look at to see if they have any tasting notes on their website to see how close we are. But so initial taste, give it a rating before we look this up. A plus plus.
A plus
we
plus
have
for
pepper
sure.
and baking spice up front.
Yeah. Now let's dive into what we're actually tasting. I'm picking up a little bit of the char up front, which is surprising because typically you would get wood sugars up front and then char on the ending note, whereas this is vice versa. I'm picking up the char and the baking spice up front, and then I'm picking up a little bit of the honey on the back end, and the char is dissipated by the time you get to the ending note. And it's a very high burn, or hug rather.
Yeah. Which leads me to believe that this is high honey, high oil, and just something that sticks in your mouth because it's not traveling down at all. I feel like I'm not even swallowing this because it's just staying in my mouth.
Yeah. It literally just leaves. Okay, you have to imagine. I'll do it with this. There's the cart and the horse.
Oh, Jesus.
So
where's this going?
Here comes a meat wagon. Wee-woo, wee-woo. So essentially, what this is like when you sip this bourbon, everything shows up, right? Car and trailer. However, all of a sudden, the trailer dehitches and stays in your friggin' word hole, and the car slides down your gullet, never to be seen again. And then every lingering factor of the bourbon stays in your mouth. And you don't even realize what you just swallowed actually was swallowed, and it's gone. The liquid leaves, but it leaves everything about it in your mouth.
Which I feel like is a characteristic of New York whiskey.
Yeah. And
I don't get that same feeling with Kentucky bourbon at all.
It is paramount with this. Like, I can't put it into words how unique this is, unique New York, because I've never really experienced this to this extent. We've seen it before with, say, like Black Button, but I've never experienced it to this extent where it straight up just it leaves. Similar to another metaphor, similar to the Titanic. The ass end of the Titanic stayed. The front half of the Titanic was already gone underneath. That's what this is like. Yeah. I love this. So I'm definitely picking up. I agree. Honey oak.
On the back end, you're saying
Yeah.
Honey oak
on the back end. Pepper baking spice on the front end. I'm not even really getting a lot of like fruits or anything else.
This isn't sweet. This isn't like a wood sugar at all either.
No.
Like
this is a man's bourbon.
That's why I think that this is probably like a chard 2 or chard 3.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a heavy chard. Maybe it's even toasted. I don't even know. But this is something that is not sweet. This is a very traditional New York bourbon.
Yeah.
Unique New York. That's what we're saying. So ending note, what are you?
A++. Ending note, honey vanilla, A++, initial taste, pepper baking spice.
I love it. So before we give the final rating, this is just what it says on their website. Straight Bourbon Whiskey, our award-winning bourbon, Hudson Valley Magazine and Maxim Magazine, has been described as a subtle and sophisticated, a beautiful bouquet of spice and honey with gentle notes of vanilla coming out to provide a smooth finish. I'm not really getting a ton of vanilla, but other than that, we were spot on.
Yeah, I'm also not picking up a lot of vanilla. Even in like the nose, you would be able to pick up almost like the vanilla extract. Say you're baking and then you open up the vanilla extract to add like the quarter teaspoon or whatever you use.
I'm not picking that up.
Yeah,
I'm picking up more caramel than vanilla. This is fantastic. This is very good.
Almost like the lingering aspects of a butterscotch. But I'm not, like nothing, barely anything. I mean, I can see where someone's going with that. On the back end of the ending note, you get some remnants of like a vanilla, but I'm not.
But I feel like that's more of a caramel transition to honey than a vanilla.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I agree.
I agree. Okay, final rating.
Give me that countdown.
3, 2, 1. 95.
94.5.
Nailed it.
This is good, man. This is a really good sipping bourbon, which obviously, because it literally wins awards around the country for
Do we know what the price point is for this?
No, I don't.
I mean, we're not going to complain. We were gifted it. So I don't know the price point of it. But let me look it up to see where in the bracket it falls. Because if this is a... Let me check it out. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, to be honest. I love it. Bottoms up again.
I think he's going to get an absolute kick out of that.
So I'm looking on NewYorkCraftSpirits.com.
Okay.
And right now, their Duchess Straight Barrel or Bourbon Barrel Strength, which is this one, is sold out. So I can't see what the price is.
Because they make small batches.
But the Founder's Rye Whiskey, which generally speaking, and this is just from what we've seen. I mean, single barrel will be a little bit more expensive, but rye is more expensive than regular bourbon. This is a single barrel, so I'm probably going to assume it's maybe a little bit higher than the rye, and the rye is 41. So if the rye is 41, I'm going to say that this is close to 50, which for that price point is amazing. Because if you think of other single barrels, Black Button is, I believe, 65 for their single barrel, which this is lower than that, and I really enjoy this.
I don't know if it's a single barrel, though.
It is. It says it on the back.
Perfect. Single barrel. Look at that.
And normally single barrels are more expensive because you're paying for this specific release, because single barrels will obviously, a different bottle will vary because it's coming out of a different barrel. And not all barrels are the same depending on where it is in the rick house, so on and so forth. So I would assume that this is probably close to $50, which is in line with what we see with other single barrels and on the cheaper side, which to me, this is a home run.
I'm all in.
I love it.
I agree with you.
All right, Mike. So that is our whiskey review for Taconic Straight Bourbon Whiskey. If you see it in stores nearby, highly recommend going to check it out.
Yes.
Take us out.
Follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Listen, you're missing a lot of content if you're not following us and subscribed on YouTube, because we have a lot of visual aids that aid in the aspects of what we discuss, like the cocktail section, little subscribe button on the bottom, all that fun stuff. So definitely check us out on YouTube. We appreciate all support. Remember, right now we have sweaters for sale. If anybody's interested, right in perfect timing for the fall season. Shoot us a message. Let us know your size. Again, if you want to be cozy in your sweater, go up a size. If you want it to be tight, form-fitting, and then perfect with basically just like a sports bra underneath if you're a female, then go true to size, and then you're good to go. Basically, just use your t-shirt size for the sweater size. Most proceeds are going towards the Buffalo Niagara Waterkeepers nonprofit organization here in Western New York, which cleans the water for Western New York. So we're very excited to have them on our show. Make sure you're following as well in regards to all the additional content that we have coming out. We have additional 3 to 4 interviews already scheduled for the month of October, which is going to bring us into December for releasing. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of content coming right up into Christmas. We're super excited for that. Again, thank you for everything. Much love to everybody. Cheers. Please drink responsibly. And we will see you next week for episode 55. Derek, this has been episode 54 with Taconic Distilling. Cheers, my bro.
Cheers, my man. And also leave a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or any other platform, because that helps us a lot.
Boom.
Nailed it. All right, we're out.